Hello everyone. So I know last time we talked I said that I probably wouldn't be making another video for quite a while just due to the lack of time that I have to do so lately, but I just happened to get another free day like not long after I filmed that last one, so turns out you're getting another video. I also just want to say before I start that it is really dark outside. It's only like 3 p.m, but it's winter here and it is very dark right now. I think the gloomy weather is kind of suiting for today's topic, which is something that I've been promising to do for ages, and that is to tell you some more ghost stories. So the stories that I'm about to tell you happened in this current house, so they're kind of recent. They're like within the past few years, and I have two main ones to tell you of like some sort of poltergeist-ish activity. I'm not sure whether to say it's a poltergeist or not, because I feel like if it was, the activity would be happening a lot more often than it has. Like they kind of feel like just a couple of one-offs, but whenever I tell people about it, they're like, oh, poltergeist, so I'm putting it in the title. After the two main stories, I'm also going to throw in a couple of other little like more questionable ghost activity, which I don't know if it's a ghost or not for sure. I feel like it's also kind of easy to discount or debunk, so they're just going to be like little add-ons at the end. Anyway, so I'm going to jump into it. So the first story that I have to tell you about happened in 2021, and it was either January or February. It was like the start of the year, and we were having renovations done on our house. So our house is quite long, so my kind of end of the house with my bedroom and my art studio and my bathroom and stuff is all up this end, and the stuff that was having the renovations was way down at the opposite end, and it was like the lounge room area, because we were getting our door changed out for like big windows and sliding doors and stuff. So that was the main thing that was happening down there, and it was going on between 2 to 4 weeks, I want to say. There was like a bit of on and off stuff, but a little while. Anyway, I'm telling you all of this for context because it becomes more relevant later. Funnily enough, the day that this activity happened, there wasn't actually any renovations going on, because I think it was like the weekend or something, but the builders were not there and they had not been there all that day, so everything was still and quiet, but I was still up there because that's just where I spend my time anyway. To give you some more context, I know there's a lot of like building up and setting up the scene here, but I was sitting at my desk on my laptop just like clicking around, and then behind me, it's like about a meter behind me I want to say, I have like a sort of round coffee table that sits on it used to be like a shag rug mat thingy. I now have a mellow mat there, but at the time it was like an old carpet thing. It's kind of hideous. I was like moving some stuff around that day, and there was just one object left that I just kind of abandoned, and I left it on the coffee table. So I will show you the object real quick so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So it was this little oh, I'm showing it to you backwards. Here we go. It was this little like trinket box with rabbits and mushrooms, and it like opens and stuff. There's something in there, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it opens and everything. It's kind of heavy. It's like this sort of, I don't know if this is porcelain or like ceramic stuff. Anyway, this was sitting in the center of the coffee table. I have my back to it. I'm clicking away on my computer. Suddenly I hear something clatter behind me. I get a bit of a fright, but I'm more just weirded out than anything. And I turn around and like I can't really figure out what it is that happened. So I like walk over to the spot where I heard it, and I see this on the floor. And the coffee table, just so you know, is quite big. Like there's a lot of area around this. So at the time I was kind of going through a bit of an atheist phase, which I'm still not fully out of, to be honest. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a logical explanation for this. So I like check all the doors and windows. They're all shut, so it wasn't a breeze. I check where my cat is. He's fast asleep in his bed. He didn't even get up. I still couldn't figure out what it was, but I just kind of let it go, even though I was feeling a little spooked. But later on, I tried to kind of recreate it to figure out how it happened. So I like put the object back on the table, and I tried like jiggling the table and like vibrating it, trying to like move the object. And I even like blew on it to see if like any wind would make it tip up, but obviously it didn't. It's like kind of heavy. It's too heavy for that really. You can see it's like kind of an odd shape, like the bottom is round, but then the mushrooms and the rabbits are very like not round, if you can tell. It's sort of a irregular shape. Because another thing that I tested out when I was trying to make this fall over was seeing like how far it could roll once it had tipped over. So I sort of like tipped it over and tried to see if I could get it to sort of roll off the table, and it wouldn't. I could only get it to tip, but that was by using my hand. There was no other way I could get it to tip over. And I just like could not make it roll, especially far enough to fall off the table. Because of the sound that I heard, like, as it clattered to the ground, I just think the force that it must have taken would require it to like fly off the table, not just like tip over and roll off. I don't know how, but I genuinely think somehow it flew off the table as if like an invisible hand smacked it off. I tried everything I could to try and move that object without touching it, and nothing would work. And that was the moment that it sunk in that this was not normal. Like, when I realized I couldn't find an explanation, I was like, oh shit. So that was very odd. Another thing is that the trinket box fell in front of my cat's gravestone, because in case you're new here and you don't know, my old cat used to be buried in the backyard at our old house, and it had a little gravestone, and I took the gravestone with me, and I keep it like in the art studio now. So like, I thought maybe it was the ghost of my old cat just because of where the object landed. But then later on, like years later, I was looking at a video about ghosts. I think the person who made the video was, oh my god, what's her name? Is it like Hearth Witch? I know she goes by Hearth. I'll put her channel name here. I can't remember what the video was called, but it was about ghosts and hauntings. And she was saying in that video how a house can appear to not be haunted or show any like paranormal activity for years and years, and then if you get renovations done, then you'll start getting activity just like out of nowhere. Apparently it's to do with supposed spirits or something in the house waking up and being like, what the heck are you doing with my house, kind of thing, like stop it. And they're just like very not happy with things suddenly being changed and the disruption of like probably the noise and the vibrations and the breaking stuff. Like they're very disgruntled, to say the least. So I thought that was interesting. So that was like kind of mind-blowing. And I have had a lot scarier sort of poltergeist activity before in previous houses. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I used to live in a haunted cottage when I was a teenager, and the activity in that cottage was absolutely wild. Like, you would have to be in it to believe it, and when I think back on it, I'm like, I can't believe that happened. But anyway, this is the first time that physical activities like this have actually happened with me in the same room while it's happening, instead of it happening like in the next room and me discovering it after it's already done. So that's the first story. The second one, which very interestingly happened a year apart, it was 2022 and I believe it was February, so it's really close to the last time something happened. And once again, I had my back to the activity, which is just so weird that happened twice in a row, but it was a lot closer to me this time. So in the studio, I have like the little kitchen area, so I've got a sort of kitchen bench where I prepare like things like coffee and toast, and then behind me I have a cupboard that has like the toaster, the kettle, it's got doors and stuff, so I keep like cups and stuff like that in there. So the door that I use the most is like the mug cupboard. I really don't like shutting it because the type of closure that the door has, it's like this sort of metal closure. I'll have to like show you a clip of what I mean, or a photo, I don't know which one. But whenever you like close it fully, it kind of makes a bang, and you have to push it really hard and it makes everything rattle, so I just don't close it. I just shut the door, but I keep it a bit ajar and I just do it that way. So I was doing that, and I'm just like, I've got my back to the cupboard with the door slightly ajar, and I'm making my breakfast. I think I was buttering a bagel, and suddenly I hear this sort of slow creaking kind of sound, and then this loud bang, and everything behind me was rattling a lot. And I turn around and the cupboard is shut, and like, I actually couldn't believe it, and I was staring at everything and it was still rattling from it shutting. And again, the thing about this cupboard is that because of the type of closure it has, it can't get blown shut by the wind or anything like that. Like, you have to shut it yourself with your hand with some force for it to close. So that was freaky because the cupboard was like really close behind me. It wasn't like a few meters away or a couple meters away like the coffee table was. And it really gave me a fright. I remember when I heard the bang of it, I like jumped up and I was like, what the hell was that? I still don't know how it happened. And again, like one of the first times, or second time now, that something is like that has happened whilst I'm still in the same room. Just wild. The only thing I can say about that is that there were not any renovations happening at that point, so I don't really know what triggered that off. I will say, like, I think the week before that I had been talking to a psychic medium. I don't know if that could have anything to do with it at all, or if that's just coincidence. I'm not really sure. I don't know, but I have not been able to find a logical explanation for either of those, and I am very atheist leaning these days, and I just can't figure out what that like what happened, why, how, I don't know. As for like other activity in this house, there hasn't been a lot. The only other things is two things, but they could easily be debunked. They could be anything. So I do remember, like, I think it was the same year that we first moved in, I think it was like 2019, I was sitting here on my bed and I could hear like footsteps on the roof, at which I happen to know what that sounds like. I guess probably everyone does. Like, if you're getting work done on your roof or your roof space, you can hear the people up there, like, and their footsteps as they walk over you. And I could hear like really clear human footsteps up there. So later on I asked my mum like who was on the roof, like who was doing repairs up there and why. I don't remember that this was going to happen. And she was like, no one was on the roof, no one's been here. And I was like, I like really clearly heard footsteps on the roof though, and it's like corrugated iron, so it's like a very clear sound. It's like, no one's been here, I don't know who that could be. And so I was like, wow, okay, that's weird. And you know, it could have been an animal, but I do know what it sounds like to have animals on your roof as well, because I'm very well acquainted with both birds and possums up there, and they have a very distinct scrabbling, scratchy noise, like you hear their nails and stuff up there. Same with rats as well. But maybe it was a giant possum, maybe that's why it sounded like human footsteps, I don't know. But yeah, that one was weird, but that one's like kind of easy to debunk because you can't see it, and it could just be me like anthropomorphizing the footsteps on the roof or something. I don't know. And then the other one, which is sort of more frequent, I don't know how many times it's happened, but it happened again really recently, and it's been going on pretty much the whole time we've been living here, I think. And that is just randomly hearing this big crashing noise in the house, as if a bunch of stuff has fallen over, like toppled onto the floor and crashed, and going to investigate and not being able to find anything being fallen over at all. We have like multiple hallways, and it used to happen a lot in the shorter hallway that's near the front door. Definitely happens a lot more at night. But yeah, more recently when I was in the kitchen, it happened like right next to me, and I was like, maybe it's in the laundry, because it sounded again like it was right next to me, and the laundry is like next to the kitchen. So I went and checked in the laundry and I couldn't see anything tipped over, and it sounded big, like a ladder or like a bunch of pots and pans. I like checked in all of the cupboards as well in the kitchen to see if something like fell over inside the cupboard. Couldn't find anything. So that was especially weird that it happened like right next to me, because usually you hear it like off in the other room, but it was like right there, but I couldn't see any evidence of it. It was so weird. But I think that is all of the ghostly stuff that has happened here, which is cool, but honestly not a lot. I feel like I don't really want to say this house is haunted, because I don't know, after living in an actually haunted house, this is like nothing. It just seems kind of like a few one-offs, but I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts. I will say the studio houses all of my oddities, which are a lot of like dead animals and stuff, like preserved in jars, and you know, my skeletons and furs and all of that. Maybe it's ghosts from the dead things, but I've been collecting oddities since I was like 15. So what is that, 15 years I've been collecting, and I haven't really had anything that weird happen before, especially like this. It would be weird for it to start happening now, but I guess maybe they have their reasons. I don't know. That is all of the stories that I have for you today. But as always, whenever I make these videos, I always love to ask you, my lovely viewers, if you have any experiences with ghosts or paranormal stuff, or just anything weird that you can't explain. I always look for those stories in the comments, both on my own videos and other ghost story videos. It is my favorite thing ever, so please feel free to share some spooky ghost stories with me. I would absolutely love to hear them. First thing I do when I meet someone new is ask if they have ghost stories. That's how much I love hearing about them. So please share them with me if you feel comfortable to. If you'd like to hear more stories about the haunted cottage that I lived in, I do have a very old video, I think from like maybe 2019 or 2020, that I did for Halloween. It's like a pumpkin carving video, and I share some ghost stories from the haunted cottage, so I will leave a link to that at the end screen if you want to watch it. Beware, my voice is extremely high in that video. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh my god, my ears. So keep that in mind, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, that is all that I have for you today. So thank you for hanging out with me for this lovely ghost story sharing time. I know I've been meaning to talk about this for absolutely ages, so I'm really glad that I finally got to share it with you. But that is all. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.